Hello, welcome to today's episode. Another reminder note episode, as always, a bit unscripted, uncut. And today I want to start with a quote by Viktor E. Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So today's reminder note is about exactly that. Between stimulus and response lies our freedom. So that means that in every situation where I or you perceive a stimulus, you have the choice to react. And this choice happens right after the stimulus. So I want to continue with a story today, and I brought this book for you. It's very popular, Man's Search for Meaning, by the author Viktor E. Frankl. And if you don't know this book, I highly recommend it to you. Definitely link it in the description, so feel free to get it. It's about a story, and it's about the story of Viktor, who is a survivor of the concentration camps, right? Really, really deep and horrible story. But the message behind it is really remarkable. And I think that we can learn a lot from that. I could not imagine being in that situation, back in the concentration camps, which is, of course, an absolutely brutal situation, right? And people were absolutely suppressed in their needs before they were killed. But I don't want to go into this story right now, so if you're interested in the story, I recommend you this book. What I want to talk about is a story when I read this book. During that time, a couple years ago, I was reading that book, normally in the evenings. I was just reading a couple pages every night. And then at some point I was driving home to see my family, and I just put the book as well in my pocket, right, as I do. When I go somewhere else, I take it with me so I can continue reading, in the garden or in nature. And when I was driving to my family that Friday afternoon, thing was around 5 p.m., a nice day in May or in spring, I felt a bit of stress in that afternoon because I had to drive for an hour and a couple minutes. So there was a long car drive ahead of me, and I was a bit exhausted that day. And while driving, I just thought that I'm so exhausted that I felt a bit of fatigue. And then suddenly the engine of my car stopped. So that afternoon I had a car breakdown of the engine, which was a really unpleasant situation, sitting there on a Friday afternoon somewhere on the highway and not being able to do anything. So my engine broke, and I just called the breakdown service. Hey, my engine broke. I need you. Can you help me? My car is not moving forward anymore, not moving backward. And it was a super busy Friday afternoon. And they were sure, yeah, we can come, we can pick you up. And I asked them how long will it take? And they were around 1 hour, maybe 2. I was like so frustrated. I was stressed anyway before. And then I was sitting there in the car and thinking about like, what should I do now? Right? Like I was angry. I was frustrated because of the situation. And then I thought about the book, right? So I just pulled it out of my bag because I took it with me, luckily. And I was just sitting in the car reading that. And then I just stumbled across this quote, right? Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom. And that was really powerful in that situation, because then I realized that I have the power to decide not to be frustrated in that situation, not to be angry, because I do not have control about the whole situation anyway. I can't control the car engine. If the car engine wants to brake, that's how it is. And that was a really good insight in that situation. And I hope you liked me sharing it with you. Then I want to end the episode with just underlining it one more time so you will remember, no matter which situation you are right now, if there is a stimuli, then there is always a tiny bit of space between that stimuli and your response to that situation. And when you can perceive that stimuli, you will discover that space and will definitely make better decisions. Thank you for listening. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen. I put the link of the book in the description. And see you in the next episode.